Game number one, Space Fungi, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but yeah, they're going up against the Southgate boys. And we have Battlefield of Eternity as our first map in our Division 6 game here today. So I'm a little bit hyped for this one, not gonna lie. I castled the Southgate boys before, I remember that name, but I don't think I don't know what a punji or a fungi is. It sounds Indian, but I don't know. I have no idea what that is. I probably should know. I don't know. So yeah, I have no idea what to expect from them. We're gonna see. And yeah, first bans, first picks. So normally, as we said, in Division 6, 7, you normally see a lot of a focus against the tanks. Melgan is oftentimes banned out. Garrosh, Diablo are very frequently targeted. And for some weird kind of reasons, also the lower regions or divisions have a little bit of an obsession with banning out bad healers that don't heal, like Brightwing and Lucio. Outside of that, what do we see? Oftentimes, sometimes Khaldors, but it's Battlefield of Eternity, and that changes the rules a little bit. Battlefield of Eternity requires you to think about that Immortal, and that's where we have immediately Hanzo banned out. Other heroes that are great against it, from a Division 7 perspective, Atanis, of course, because of the amateur opponent. Reyna with Exterminator, you can go into a Tyrande as well. So those are the standard heroes that you would actually see there. Diablo gets banned, so that frontline focus that we have come to expect from Division 7 and 8. Then again, to be fair, if you have heroes like Diablo and Garrosh, those have oftentimes also been banned out in HGC, and for good reason. I mean, they offer a lot of initiation potential, they have really good control with the CC that they offer, and are quite tanky too, so definitely good heroes to have in your arsenal, and therefore oftentimes being banned. Second ban coming in, and that is a Sonya. Didn't really quite think that Sonya would be banned out, but she definitely offers quite a bit of damage on a single target if you want to go on to the Immortal. Now, before I see a Sonya ban, I would have expected other heroes to be taken away. Blaze, for example, still played very often on that top lane. But given that it is Division 6 and that it is Battlefield of Eternity, I am still expecting Atanis to make an appearance here again. Like, it's actually a hero that is getting played quite a bit. There's the Mal'Ganis ban. That doesn't come as a surprise. I think we've seen him twice being played. And an insta-lock on Garrosh, not even hesitating, like BAM! A little bit afraid that it gets picked away here on some mind. I don't know. Okay, so what are we having for Battlefield of Eternity as the first picks for the Space Pungies? There it is, Atanis, bam, locked in right away. I told you that would happen. No, you will never see that in a game on an actual high level, but people see the Atanis, they want to play him, they've heard about amateur opponent, and way too many people have watched Trixler stream in the past and think that's actually a good hero. And I can assure everyone out there that's watching this right now, he's not. But there is still that little bit of an idea that people have for some reason, so yeah. Therefore, we still have that being played here. Li Ming and Tyrande taken on the other side. So that brings us straight to a potential Garrosh flip into a stun, into burst damage from Li Ming. The combo potential is actually endless. The only question that I have is, do they have the execution to pull that off? What I also have to point out is that Li Ming in this particular setup he is also great for a poke battle between the teams once that we are looking at the middle of the screen, and there is going to be a little bit of poke around that stalemate that oftentimes happens there. So that's another thing that we could actually see. Kerrigan banned out, a little bit afraid of the aggression. Don't really think she fits too well with the rest of that setup. I don't think that Kerrigan was necessarily a problem here. I would have been more worried about other frontliners for the solo lane, to be honest. Coming back to Blaze, for example, again. But let's see what else they have in mind for their own composition. Maybe that makes things a little bit more clear. Alright, Johanna banned out. So that leaves us on the front line. I mean, you could play... I'm not really a big fan of having an Enubrak setup with Atanis. I mean, we have a couple of heroes like Murden, for example. If you follow that up with a Silence from Stukov and the Lurking Arm, then you have definitely something as a setup. A Jaina for burst damage, if you're trying to go for such a composition, might be an idea. Keep in mind, Reyna is still out there. If you're worried about your damage against the Immortal, you can go into Exterminator, and unless you want to do that. You can still drop around Ace in the Hole. And we have Stitches. Okay, so Stitches into a root from Stukov. Like, personally, I'm a really big fan of having an additional hard CC if you want to play with the Stitches composition. Tyrande oftentimes is being played with this. If you want to have another damaged, another offlaner, then a jet propulsion from Blaze can be great for it too. But you already have some slow on your slam, and then Stukov can get the silence in, and after 13 also attempt, of course, to get the root into the ground. That works. And we actually have a full reset composition. Look at that. Genji, Li Ming, Blaze, Tyrande, and Garrosh. Like, what is this? HGC? This is actually a pretty decent combo that we're having there for them right now. That's a lot of damage. If execution is good, they can do a whole lot of work with this. Comes back to execution, of course. I would still expect something along the lines of a Jaina. If you really believe in the power of the hooks, then burst damage is your friend. And there she is. Jaina being picked. And with this, we're entering game number 1 on Battlefield of Eternity between Space Fungi, and Southgate Boys. So let's see who's going to take that first victory in our Division 6 best of 3. Game number 1 in the series. Space Fungi going up against the Southgate Boys. And to the left side, the blue team with Florzan on Jaina. Sir Derpimus with Stukov, Cryers on Atanas, Crowin on Stitches, and Thulkandra on Reyna. And to the right side of the map, we have Phil playing Garrosh, Goody Game on Genji, McBain was playing Blaze, Mr. Botbot on Tyrande, and Phonix on Li Ming. Immediately the two solo laners orientating themselves towards the top lane. Atanas going as expected into amateur opponent. Ace in the hole for Reyna, so no Exterminator. Not worried about the damage on the Immortal too much. And besides that, we're having Stitches going straight into the patchwork creation here. When it comes to builds, then I guess the Elun's Chosen is something that we should definitely highlight here real quickly as well. So already activating a little bit around the auto attacks for the additional heals. Okay, so far so good. But that is definitely going to force Tyrande a little bit more towards the front if she wants to get a lot of value out of that. And we're going to keep a bit of an eye on her. Because Tyrande in general has a lot of potential to just execute combos through the stun and the Hunter's Mark. Also, it's great for the Immortal race, but at the same time, you need someone that can actually play Tyrande, and we are going to find out if Mr. Botbot is able to make that happen. Because if they get kills, then the double resets that we're getting through Genji and Li Ming are going to be absolutely fantastic for them. So there's a lot of potential for that to happen later on in the game. The question is just how much can they do with that. Phil is trying to complete his level 1 quest and gets a couple of groundbreakers through here. But that being said, everybody is just like firing away in the middle. And there's a lot of poke available from both sides. Southgate Boys even a little bit more so than on the side of their opponents. But it's when the objective spawns that I really want to see what's going to happen. Because for me personally, it's a question of whether Crowin can land his hooks and if they properly follow up on that. They don't have a lot of hard CC behind that hook, so it's mostly up to Stukov to get some silence, slows, and later roots in. Oh, nearly the hit here. And actually, Atanas falls topside as Goody Gamer rotated up with Genji and they took down Atanas. That's a pretty big hit, and it forces Jaina to make a rotation here too. So far, not really sniffed out, but they are going to be able to at least soak the experience. But of course, it also means that at the bot lane, they need to be cautious now. It's going to be a 3 versus 4. And Jimmy is in a bad spot. He's trying to get out here, but gets obliterated. Well executed by the Southgate Boys, and that was actually a nice combo. A flip from Reyna, the immediate stun from Tyrande, absolutely on point with a good execution, and then the swift strike from Genji and the kill. Very well done. Definitely didn't expect them to have that level of execution here in the early game, but that was a fantastic combo from them. So looking over to the blue team, the only question is now, how are they going to deal with all of this? Because that was not a good start for them. They're half a level behind, which is not too bad. They at least timed the camp, which I like a lot. That's something that the red team is completely forgetting about. So that's great from the perspective of the blue team. But they still lost those 2 heroes very early on and are a little bit behind in experience now. Serrated Edge, so you have a little bit of extra damage and reduction on the hook cooldown. Play that. Personally, I'm liking a good slam build there. But the camp gets actually stolen away. You gotta be shitting me. Li Ming just walked over and took the camp. She pays with her life for it though, and they might get a second kill against Phil. But what an audacity here. Just walks over and takes the camp. It's like, oh, we probably took the camp, I'm gonna take that. Now they lose 3 heroes in the process, but it's still a bit fucked up. I mean, it just walks in and says like, oh my god, look at this. Don't mind me if I do. I'm gonna take this now. So, yeah, they lose 3 heroes shortly after, so the rage and the anger was strong with the Space Boys, but that was definitely a bit of a nasty play. I mean, they do such a great job preparing the camp, setting it up, trying to time it, and then Ling Ming walks over, there's nobody there, and they're just saying like, well, I'm gonna take that now. But as I said before, they're now in that weird moment where they lost 3 heroes. They should easily lose that Immortal. Then again, Artanis is currently trying to YOLO a little bit. And another flip. Artanis goes down. Can they get at least the Immortal? Doesn't really look like it. Massive jet propulsion hit by Blaze. Stukov in trouble. And he's not the only one. They're all dropping low here. Jaina was moving in for a second. But the problem, of course, still remains. It's 17,000 hit points against 3,000. If Jaina just goes in and hits 1 Blizzard, there's already going to be quite a bit of damage against it. And there are 5 men on the map again. Artanis is back, so they can go in. It's only Genji, actually, that tries to get a little bit of counter damage right now. Quest completed already. And here is that quick attack. A swap attempt by Krios. A little bit of a weird timing here with the skills. But they get that punish as expected. Level 7 talents are in. Lunar Flare focus on level 4 for Tyrande. Calamity. Oh, the damage from Blizzard and the double kill. The body blocks against Blaze make it a triple. And the blue team all of a sudden is just going ham. Damn. Hold the salami, hold the cheese, because the blue team is going ham. Getting another triple kill here. And what looked like a really bad start into this series is all of a sudden a fantastic opening by Space Fungi here. So that was brutal. Stacking up against the Blizzard, getting those stuns and hooks in, and then moving in straight with the Blizzard damage, plus on top of that Reyna just shelling away. It's fantastic. We're having at this point actually also a fight or flight taken to level 4. I'm already liking this Reyna player. This is looking like a good build that he's executing here. Level 7, by the way, is currently the True Shot aura for Tyrande. Actually, I'm lying. It's not True Shot. It's Khaldor resistance, so a little bit of spell armor against Jaina. Not trying to go into a cleanse. I mean, I guess it could be good against the hook. But on the other side, yeah, with Jaina currently murdering people, it's probably a pretty decent idea that they're going through here. Keep at the top lane is already gone. Space Boys there with the keep, the first one taken out. Genji's currently hiding. Trying to see if they can maybe set something up. But Artanis is not playing it too greedy. And as I said, he moves down to the camp. And I was for a moment worried that he would actually try and take it solo. That would be a bad idea at this point in time. But yeah, I didn't make that move. Top camp, on the other hand, that was taken and is now moving through the middle of the map. Level advantage. Talent advantage not yet in their hands. But they go for Blaze. Short distance hook, body blocks, the damage, and he gets away. And why? Because Jimmy is using a penetrating round to push him out. This is like the big problem with Jim Reynas. They're always thinking, I can kill him. You can never kill him with a penetrating round, Jimmy. The rule of thumb is always, you're not going to kill him, you're going to push him out, and he's going to get away. If Jimmy just holds the Q there and doesn't use it, Blaze is dead. Blaze has no chance of walking away from this, like none whatsoever. He already used jet propulsion, he has no chance. But Jimmy gets trigger happy. That was always the problem with Jimmy. Look at that StarCraft 2 campaign. He is always just too quick on that shot. You can make up for it later though, my buddy. So not all is lost yet. 10 versus 10. Combustion, has been taken again. Who needs a bunker? We have the Water Elemental in play. Purifier Beam. And no... Okay, Reyna's Raiders again. We actually have at this point also Puric Ball. We have no Gorge for Stitches. We have Gorged here, doesn't do that though. Wants to wait for the fight, and now we have the objective appearing on the map again with the next Immortal about to be ready for the grabs. They're starting to get the first hits already as is, but one guy is missing, and that's the guy with amateur opponent. That's Artanis. He's not here just yet. And here comes the attack, or at least the attempt of one. Jaina's in trouble. Jaina is dead. Yeah, moving out like this without having the tank there is a huge problem. Way too exposed. Here comes the taunt, the kill, and both of the damage dealers have set a sayonara already. The Putrid Bile is still being used, trying to get them a little bit lower, but here in the back line, Genji is already doing his thing. Purifier Beam is not going to do too bad. Water Elemental nearly getting a kill here. Genji had to move away from Stukov. But now, of course, the map is open for the red team to get a little bit of damage in. Jaina basically committed Sudoku as she was completely exposing herself to not only Li Ming but also Genji, and that was a quick kill right there. But it's not quite over yet. They're going to win the halftime show for sure. But after that, it's going to be a 5 versus 5 again, and even with the camp being grabbed in the meantime. I'm liking the macro attempts from the blue team. I'm actually liking that a lot. But now in the team fight, they definitely have to shield their backliners a little bit better. But since Artanis is back again, that is something that they can use for now. So, let's see. The face check, and Stitches is immediately being attacked here. The attempt at a heal from Stukov, and he nearly makes it happen. But now the question is simply, can they get a counter kill? And currently it doesn't look likely. They're trying though. Genji actually X-striking out of the fight. But yeah, Stitches absolutely face checking that bush. And that worked really well for the red team. The Southgate boys get the kill against Stitches, who's by the way going to be back soon. And they might not even capitalize on it, Southgate boys that is, because they all had to tap, and they also have to take care of that camp down at the bot lane. And no matter what you heard, Li Ming doesn't really have the best wave clear. She really needs to hit that orb properly in order to do something. So it's a 4 versus 4 over here. Artanis is about to fall. Can they get the counter kill against Garrosh? Because if they can't, they have a problem. And yes, indeed, they do have a problem. The staggered deaths as Stitches returns, but Artanis is down, and now the combos are being fired again. And that's one of the reasons why that Li Ming is so great on this map. When it comes to these stalemate fights in the middle of the map, you can just fire away as Li Ming. There are no minions to obstruct your shots in any way. Artanis is on the way back, so they can still sit there on the defense and now maybe push forward, but they need to try and get these counter kills. They were so close now, 2 times after they lost the hero, to get a kill on the other side. Level 13 is also very near for Southgate boys. That means you have to kind of make a move now if you want to still take those kills and win something. So they go on the aggression. They're starting to burn it down. Genji isn't here yet. That gives them a bit of a window. Phil could go for the throw, but doesn't quite yet. Prudik is on the ground. Here comes the silence. Li Ming with a combo attempt. Not doing too much here. Jaina gets the damage out. Phil is in trouble. Indomitably being used, but he's about to fall. Blaze is also low. Gets the combustion through, but both of them are about to die. The X-Strike comes in. Blaze and Artanis both down, but the silence is there. Stitches looking for that hook again. Another quick hit coming as Genji goes in deep. Way too deep, but still able to move out. Genji barely able to escape, but he is able to get out of harm's way here. And we are still fighting over that second Immortal as both of the teams are looking for opportunities to get kills. There's still also a camp here that could maybe even be grabbed. 13 talents are ready for the red team, and that is of course now a bit of an issue for Space Fungi. They definitely have a problem now, and yep, that Li Ming is also nasty with the damage out. We're talking damage, let's have a quick look at that. Yeah, Li Ming's sitting there, 29,000. 5 versus 5 in the middle again. No level 13, but they're still trying to force the fight. Reyna in trouble. The taunt, the stun combo. Even the Immortal stun comes through, and that's the end of him. Artanis is lost in the fight somewhere, starting to move in from the top. It's still a 5 versus 4, and they're still pushing in. They're still pushing in, but Blaze comes in from the side with a good flank and hits the jet propulsion. The stuns are there. Goody game on is Genji is trying to go into the backline again, but first of all, Stitches exposes himself, goes in with a Putrid Bile. He's dead. And the blue team just doesn't know when to retreat. They're always going for those fights, always going for those attacks, even when they are down a talent and a hero. Should never do that, and now they're losing another. Down goes Artanis. The counter kills are nearly always there, and I have to say, it's actually amazing to me how they are nearly always able to turn this around. Immortal nearly wrecks Garrosh, and Jaina just can't get close enough apparently to start slowing him down. But they get the counter kill again. They get a kill, and now we're fighting over that bloody objective again. This thing has been on the map for minutes now, and the blue team is actually doing really well in these fights. Their biggest problem is that they are just re-engaging at the wrong moment in time. They are starting to force fights when they're down a talent, and they are re-attacking when they are down a hero. If they just move in as 5, I think they have a really good shot of winning this, because the blue team is struggling to get the coordination right. Again, Indomitable being used to save them here for now. It was a good hook, but Garrosh is still surviving, and they're moving in again. Here comes the flip against Stitches. The kill attempt, the Immortal pushing them out, but the damage output, yeah, Combustion comes in, but Phil is about to die, but so does Stitches. Again, a little bit too disconnected from the blue team here. If they all go into the same target, I think they can get these kills, but at this moment in time, it's the Southgate boys who are currently running that show just a little bit better. Garrosh was about to fall several times, but they didn't really move in. Big wave now up at the top lane. This is actually a huge problem. Could even take down the fort if time given. An entire level lead now for the red team. 13 against 8 kills. And again, a 5 versus 5 about to emerge as Stitches is about to be back. But the poke against the Immortal is starting to do a little bit too much. And they will have to soak those shots or they have to give up the objective. One of the two. Again, Blaze comes in, hits the oil. They're going for the flip. They don't hit it. But here comes the flip from Garrosh. He just walks up and gets it. The silence is there. But down goes Reyna. And those slaps from Stukov were just too late. Artanis dies too. And now the Southgate boys are on their way forward and are trying to get the kills here. Again, nearly the counter kills. It's always the same story. Stukov reacts too late. I mean, it starts with Reyna being out of position. And Garrosh just simply being able to walk up to him and flip him over. Then shortly after, you have a reaction that's a little bit late on Stukov. And he doesn't create the space to save Reyna, but does it too late for that. Trying to get into position for it. And then no counter kill, even though they were so low. But it's amassing... It's a massive back and forth the entire time. And it's really one of these things where if a bit of a better focus would exist for the blue team, they would get these counter kills. No giddy up, by the way. The rallying cry instead being used here. Jaina again under pressure from Genji as they're looking for a kill. Putrid Bile already used right here, trying to make that push deep a little bit harder. The solo lane is still intact as we're having Artanis go up against Blaze, but the level 16 talents are another big advantage for the Southgate boys now. Now there shouldn't really be too much happening down here at the bottom of the map, because that Immortal is nearly gone, and you shouldn't really lose too much more. Burn the Immortal down, maybe try and land a hook here if you can. Stitches missed it, but yep, good attempt. And now just sit back and soak your level 16. It's a really tough game though, I mean, for both sides. The kill count is 15 to 8, but I feel it's really deceiving because if truth be told, I think the red team could have lost a lot more heroes in these fights. And if at any point the blue team gets a little bit more damage through, that might be the case. And that's where I'm looking towards the level 16 for Jaina. Once we have the Cone of Cold upgrade, that might be a problem. Alright, that flip didn't quite work. And now look at Phil. He's so low already. Can they kill him? Stitches is down. They need to get the counter kill, and they do not get it. He's moving away, barely, but he does it again. Artanis not with a swap here. Here comes the ult at least, but the X-Strike takes him down. Taking the wrong fights, down a talent, not retreating in time again, and not getting the counter kill here. Big problem for this. So once again, waiting for the 16, losing this camp. But it's going to result in the same no matter what at this point. It will result in a 16 versus 16 fight over the next Immortal. So that's what you get. You get one more chance. If you miss that, your opponent is going to be hitting the Storm talents way before. But the 16 talents are there. And that's a big, big advantage now. Or at least, well, it's actually mitigating the advantage of the opponent a bit. Northern exposure alone, that should really help to get these kills against Garrosh whenever he moves in again. That talent is something that I've really been waiting for quite some time now for them, because I really think this is something that's going to help them a lot. If you look at the damage, 42,000 damage from Jaina isn't really too bad at all. And that is going to be a big game changer. We have slam builds for Stitches. So first of all, getting the Vile Gas in a little bit more here. And now the extra slow. And those two talents together can really be great for them here in that next fight. Because it's two of the main reasons why the red team was able to keep their heroes alive. First of all, they were able to move out. And second of all, it was a little bit of lack of damage. The position is for the second Immortal now better for the red team though. We have Phil and Phonix already in position. So Garrosh is going to try and just simply zone out here. And we've seen Stitches actually in the previous fights already walk over quite a few times straight into that area. So if he does that again, then all that we need is Tyrande being there again and trying to get that extra stun in. So the blue team now has to first of all try and defend or make the decision to try and rush down the Immortal over here. The problem for them is if they want to actually go for an Immortal race, they don't have Artanis with them. Artanis is currently all the way up to the top of the map, and therefore he's going to have a hard time coming down here. You still have the burst damage from Jaina Jaina and also the damage output from Reyna, but both of them are already lining up to move forward into a defensive position, and that would be way easier to reach for Atanas as well, since he comes in from the side. But we have Li Ming already here, we have Phil trying to anchor, we have at the same time Turanda moving in from the side, and those two up to the top also making their way in. So for the blue team, a defensive position would actually be a much better one. The main question just is, are they going to run into that trap? Because if they are just face checking that, then a quick flip and then Calamity plus the damage from here, Genji with a swift strike from the top, might already annihilate a target, and they have to make sure that they prevent that. But if Phil, for example, gets hooked, if Stitches is willing to commit to a cooldown that high and gets the hook in, then there's a really good chance that he dies, just simply because of the northern exposure that I showed a little bit earlier. And on top of that, because with level 13, with a virulent reaction, Stukov has a chance to actually lock someone down. Of course, you have the Indomitable, but this is still another big cooldown that would have to be burned in that instance. So for the red team, it's first of all important that Phil is paying attention to what's happening. He can always block the hook with Indomitable if it comes out. If he can create a kill opportunity, then he can do that immediately and have a good setup with this. But yeah, that's kind of the stage for that fight. And since we have such a huge discrepancy between the levels in the players, it's just important for the blue team that they're now starting to take a couple of heroes down again. Because if they don't, then, and the Immortal is one, then first of all, we are very likely going to see the blue team lose the fort first of all. The keep could fall, and with all that experience that comes through the kills, you would also see level 20 talents coming in. And with the level 20 talents, then it's very, very difficult to move through those. But 8 kills against 17, and a lot more should have happened for the blue team, so there's definitely a good chance that they're going to make that setup work. But we'll see how much that works out for them. But that's currently the stance for now. As we're still not quite back yet, let's take also a quick look at the damage, because that's another thing that we want to look at real quickly. We have, as you can see, Li Ming currently taking the absolute top damage in the game. And we're having Genji not even dying once, and he committed a lot of kills here too. Like, all of them are doing extremely well with this. The one that actually had the biggest problem surviving is Blaze, and that's mainly because we have combustion over bunker. But especially in Division 6 and Division 7, you don't really see a whole lot of bunker happen, because coordination doesn't really seem all that great. But especially when you're going up against that setup with Jaina, that might be a good idea to spec into that. Stukov has been playing pretty safe in the back, so that's definitely good for him, but you see Atanas again dying a lot and not really getting that damage out. And I'm coming back to the same statement that I made in the previous game. Atanas as a hero just doesn't really do a whole lot for you oftentimes. If you are able to land those swaps reliably, then you can create a lot of opportunities. The problem is, if that's not really the case, then he doesn't really bring as much to the table as you really want here, because you could swap the hero out for either getting Blaze yourself, keep in mind Atanas was a first pick in this action, or you could go for a different offlaner. Urel always comes to mind as a fantastic choice here. You can go into Leoric here if you really wanted to. And there's of course an abundance like Dehaka that give you a more of a global advantage if you really want to go down that path that you could play, which we haven't really seen so far either. So Atanas is always a bit of an iffy one. I know it's tempting that when you're playing on this map that you're saying, hey, amateur opponent right here is giving us that extra damage against the Immortal, so if we do that, we will have a very, very good setup to burst it down, and that's definitely one of the advantages that you have with him. But if you don't land swaps for kill opportunities and can do a lot in those fights, then you have a bit of an issue here, really getting anything out of it. But the only thing they have to do is really just set something up around the silence of Stukov and Jaina then as well. We're back in the game, and now let's see how the blue team plays that. So they're actually like looping around completely, ignoring Phil here, not using anything, moving up S5, and giving up the halftime show completely. So they're just going to try and take the top here, and then win after the halftime show. They need to be, again, careful, because that gave the opponent enough time for... Oh my god, no way! Jaina committing Sudoku again, dying to the X-Strike and Blaze, and that is a massive, massive upset now. This is like the worst case scenario right here. Losing your main damage dealer that has bursted most of the damage in the remainder, and pff, they're losing Atanas again. That was a disaster. Now that was seriously bad. If you have this much time during a break and you are not getting... Like, you're not telling your damage dealer to not face check the bush or walk just past it, then you know you are in trouble. So I'm not quite sure what exactly that was, but that was, yeah, that was horrible. You can't do that. You have to be patient. I know that sometimes your trigger finger is itching and you want to get the damage in and you want to get into a good position, but you can't just face check a bush like this or just walk past it, especially when you're having a Garrosh or any kind of stun hero on the other side. And now they are facing off against a full Immortal, and that's disaster for them. Right now, the Southgate boys are in such a commanding lead that I would be shocked if they are not taking a keep with this. And they are going to try. And just look at the experience for them. They're nearly on level 20 by now. And that means we're going to have Storm talents coming in for this push as well. Outside of them getting a great hook or some insta blow up against someone with Stukov, getting a root onto the ground and the silence, I don't see anything happening here. Tannis again needs to be careful, very carefully. They burn the shield down very quickly. That works so far quite nicely, but the full combo eaten by Jaina. Jet propulsion not doing too much. Again, Artanis in the middle of the pack and goes down again. That is death number 10 for him, as Stitches is trying to create a little bit of space. Stukov as well. Li Ming with another combo attempt here, this time not quite hitting it, but level 20, 3-level lead, 20 kills against 8. And now we're having Stitches thrown back into a double stun from the jet propulsion and the lunar flare. He's down 2, and that might just be game. A 5 versus 3 with level 20 talents. And that is it. Game number 1 is going to be taken by the Southgate boys. Well done, well executed, and capitalizing on the mistakes of the blue team. GG, well played. Volskaya, baby! So, our blue team, Space Fungi, has actually done pretty well in the mid-game of our first map, but then they fell apart against the Southgate boys later on. But I still have to say, they had some really good team fights. I feel like in a lot of the fights, with just a little bit of better coordination, they would have been able to get a couple of counter kills. And then, of course, not face-checking bushes would also be great. But a lot of the mistakes that we've seen there can definitely be fixed quite easily. Some people were just over-eager, I would say. So we have to find out how game number 2 goes for them. Volskaya Foundry is going to be the map, and it might be an attempt from them, or is an attempt from them, to make this 3-game series. Diablo is being banned out, first of all. For me, it's just a question what's happening on the offlane again. I really feel when it comes to offlaners, this is really where, like, Heroes Launch in general, but the lower leagues in particular, still have some problems. Like, we never see Rel, you mostly see Artanis and Blaze these days. Like, it's a little bit odd to actually have that. On this map, Blaze gets even more value, especially with the bunker, because you can have you can hold the checkpoint a little bit longer. So I would actually love for a team to go for that. Nazebo gets banned out. Okay, so basically just saying, listen boys, this is a map that usually goes a little bit longer. If we have Nazebo and allow him on the map, then all of a sudden we are going to lose in the long run on level 20. So that's why Nazebo gets banned out. Okay, trying to adjust their bans a little bit to the map at hand. Now, do we see Mal'Ganis banned out again? Has so far been consistently banned out today here in Division 6. And we have... No! Stukov instead! Yeah, Stukov play was actually pretty nice in the last game. Didn't die, as far as I remember, and also set up a few nice kills, but that leaves us with Mal'Ganis all of a sudden as an option. So we might actually get that. Could get Mal'Ganis here in the game. And that makes the first pick here all the more interesting. Call me intrigued. Garrosh instead. Alright. Garrosh for them. Flipping people around. Getting the taunt in. Would work again with Jaina if they want to go into another Jaina game. If we're going to see the mage commitment. Again, in terms of mages, Chromie, Gul'dan, Kel'Thas, Jaina, and Li Ming are probably the most popular choices that we've seen so far in Heroes Launch. It's also most of the really viable ones, obviously, but still, that's what we're usually getting to see here. Tyrande, an early commitment again, and Tyrande Blaze. Alright, very meta already from them. So trying to have the top lane secured and then also the jet propulsion into the lunar flare. And so far the stun combos that they executed were actually done quite well. I liked that in the last game a lot. This is one of those moments where you're trying to get rid of Jaina, either through a ban or a pick on your own side, because that setup with the Jaina would be pretty devastating. You don't want them to have that. Now again, there are other heroes that can also fit that build to an extent. Any kind of mage with the cooldown burst damage can work there. And oh my god, why would you throw the game? No, 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 friend. I don't want to be your friend. Get away, you oversized fruit fly. Oh, now this is going to be bad. What's the thought process here? Outside of my traditional Brightwing hate, what is the thought process with this setup? Like, I'm honestly having trouble to understand this. Maybe you want to go for a Genji dive and then go straight into an Emerald Wind. And why do they ban Jaina? You are the team that should take Jaina. You're fantastic with Jaina with your setup here. Let's see what the burst damage is for the Southgate boys, but Brightwing makes no sense here. Like, even outside of me hating the hero, that doesn't make any sense. You want to have someone with, I mean, you can't get Stukov and you can't get Tyrande, I get that, but you could still go, for example, for Alexstrasza. If you wanted to have the Dragon Queen available, you could go for Whitemane, you could go for Malfurion and have the root after a throw. Root, like Garrosh throw and stun into a root, and then maybe even a Twilight Dream afterwards. There's so much combo potential, and they're not going for any of it. I'm really weirded out by that pick. So Johanna gets banned out. There's Li Ming for the burst damage. Okay, they don't go into Jaina. They want to have the reset potential again to follow up on the stuns. Good damage here from Reyna now too. It's great against Garrosh if you can keep outside of his throw and flip. Main tank, still a couple of good options out there. You could go for Murden, for example, if you wanted to. We've seen that Stitches earlier, and I think in this setup Stitches would also work because you can simply follow up a good hook with a Tyrande stun. But now what are the last choices for Space Fungi? What are they gonna go here? Hammer and a Nuburak. A Nuburak side lane again, and now Brightwing makes even less sense. Alright, the Hammer isn't really too bad if you can play it, but a Nuburak for the side lane is something that always weirded me out a little bit. So they have more stuns available. So for the 5 versus 5 fight they have that, and I guess they can also use Cocoon now. Well, it's going to be the last choice for the front line here for their opponent. Is it going to be the Murden, or are we going to have a Stitches instead? Neither! Tyrael, layered defenses, going into Sanctification plus Bunker. Just kidding. It's probably going to be Sanctification plus Combustion. But Sanctification Bunker would actually be really nice with this setup. If you have a good Tyrael player, you can definitely pull it off. Not quite what I expected, but I'm game. Let's go. Game number 2. Space Fungi going up against Southgate boys. Game number 2. To the left in blue. Florzan on Genji. Crowwind on Garrosh. Sir Depimus is going to derp around on Brightwing a little bit, and as we fondly call her, Trashwing. Tilkandra on Sergeant Hammer, Krios on Nuburak, and over to the right side of the map we are seeing Phil on Tyrael, Goody Gamer on Reyna, McBain on Blaze, again, Mr. Bot once more on Tyrande, and Phonix on Li Ming. So 3 of them rocking the same hero as they did in the previous game. And let's see if they can make that win happen again. Heroic abilities could be interesting. Now again, I expect Sanctification and Combustion. I would love Sanctification and Bunker. And there is still an option that we're going to see Judgment plus Combustion or whatever. So there are quite a few options. Question is going to be, how much is Hammer really going to be able to do here at this point? So how much can Hammer actually do? Because Hammer can be insanely strong if you play the cards right. So that could work out for them here. But we're going to find out how much they're going to be doing with this. Crowwind, actually a wall breaker into the wrong direction. Happened to all of us already. You want to try and go for a flip. You don't really hit the flip properly, but you hit the second button. And all of a sudden it looks like you're just like inting into the wrong direction. But with Volskaya being the map, I am intrigued what the play is going to be here. I'm still a little bit weirded out by that Brightwing pick because I really don't think it offers them too much. If you're playing with Sergeant Hammer, you want to have a little bit more control ideally, also with roots or any kind of burst heal, and Brightwing just doesn't really offer that. Emerald Wind might be able to push opponents back that go for hard engage, but I just don't see that making a difference here. Like in HGC, what you would sometimes see as Brightwing was still a little bit meta, which was quite some time ago, is that you would go into a Genji and Brightwing combo, and then you Swift Strike in with Genji. Brightwing teleports perfectly timed onto Genji, and an Emerald Wind gets you a quick isolation on a hero that you can then take down. I don't really expect that level of execution here. And also still wondering a little bit about the Nubarak on the offlane, which is actually quite common for the lower divisions in Heroes launch. It's something that I never really even considered until I've seen it here a few times. And it does usually not do all that well, because the wave clear that we have on the Nubarak is not really all that fantastic. But you get extra stuns out and a little bit control for the fights then later on. But there are other heroes that you could have taken there too. So it's a little bit of an interesting setup that we have on the blue side. For the red team, I have to say that their drafting is actually pretty decent. I mean, in both of the games, they had decent drafting. The only question is then the level of execution that you can get with those heroes. But as level 4 talents come in, we're now having also the bed of barbs taken for Nubarak, so a little bit more slow and control throughout those fights. It's going to make also Hammer a bit safer. Dominance again for Li Ming here, fight or flight for Reyna. So they definitely did their homework when it comes to builds, talent builds, and also when it comes to just general drafting. Level 4 now, the bound by law that we're seeing for Material here. And again, for him, my biggest question is still going to be what happens around level 10. Are we going to see something a little bit more crazy, or is he going into just defensive mode onto the objective itself, maybe even with a bunker that assists him? If you have 2 layers of defense, if you have a bunker and sanctification, it's absolutely fantastic to sustain yourself through a team fight. The only thing that the two have to coordinate properly is that they don't like overlay those cooldowns, that you actually time them properly. But outside of that, usually in a decent spot. Hammer with the Maelstrom rounds on level 1 and the regenerative biosteel. Not really a combo or something that you see too much. It's a little bit weird to see that setup here for Hammer right now, but we'll see how exactly that's going to work out. Hammer, by the way, is currently at the top side still, trying to deal with that camp. And when it comes to wave clear, that team doesn't really have a whole lot, so they're going to struggle with that for sure. But Hammer needs to come down and help out with that push, because the objective is already taken by the, or at least claimed for now, by the blue team. And by the red team, and they're doing well here. Nice kill, though, against Tyrael, as he gets completely bodied around and CC'd. Now, granted, Garrosh also took a lot of damage and nearly died here, but that was a good kill at a good point in time, because they really need to start entering that area here. And they're trying to get another kill. They're going to move in again. Garrosh gets some hit points back, and they secure another kill against Blaze, a staggered one at that too. So great start for them into that game. Celestial Attunement now chosen by Tyrande, therefore switching it up a little bit from the Khaldor resistance from the last game, the previous game, just to make sure that she has something in her arsenal against all the stuns and CCs that are coming out from Space Fungi. Well, that was a good setup for them. And it shows again the power of Genji here too. Genji is successful in the last game, and in this one he's already starting to do work as well. Garrosh, of course, with that displacement is another big reason for them. And it seems like they're just going to give this one up for now. Or are they? Because they have still a turret, and they have also taken the biotic emitter, so the red team with a nice approach, and now they're re-engaging into the main fight, and I like that idea. Well done by them. Can they conquer that area, though? That's the question. Another hit against Tyrael. Jet propulsion comes through, and Blaze gets wrecked. Biotic emitter and the turret are both on the ground. Fantastic sustain for them. Brightwing is dead, and at the same time, the point about to be recovered by the red team. 99% for the blue team, but that's just not quite enough. That is 1 percentage point lacking for them. So Reyna also taking down the experience at the bottom of the map. Well, this is a fantastic setup right now for the red team. They still have the turret here. They're holding the point for now. And just as we speak, Brightwing and Garrosh are making their way back. Genji, uh-oh, dude, like, you just screwed up. Nope, he's not getting punished for it, but they're going for the rest of the team. And Cryos and his Nubarak is already starting to get low, but Hammer gets the damage in from the backside. Nobody attacking him, and this is going to be a big one. Reyna is down already. Tyrael about to fall, but Nubarak dies first. Now they're going again for the explosion against Garrosh, and that is still overtime. 3 versus 3 now all of a sudden. The hits keep coming. And they're about to get that objective. McBain, he missing the jet propulsion, going way too deep for this one. And Genji comes in and takes a quick kill against him. Now it's only a 2 versus 3. Some heroes are starting to come back. They're trying to hold the point a little bit longer, but they have to hold it for more. Genji nearly down. Jaina wants to go in, and they are too late. The Protector taken as the blue team gets the first objective. And all of a sudden, we're having the red team on the defensive, trying to hold on to their structures here. Level 10, not ready just yet for the two teams, but it's going to drop any second. And then we're going to see those choices that we've been talking about. Bunker and Sanctification, both being used. Full meta from the Southgate boys now, trying to layer their defenses in the upcoming fights. And still defending against that Protector that already has taken a lot of damage and is rotating to the top now, trying to prepare the top lane for the next objective, which will spawn topside. Most importantly, attempting to take down that fountain in the back, but the Protector is getting burned down quickly. Hammer gets thrown to safety by Garrosh, but he himself might be in trouble. Phil is trying to body block. Swift Strike back to safety, both on level 10, but look at the bot lane. That's where we're seeing Anubarak still getting experience for his team, doing work there and starting to put a turret to rest. That's of course going to open up that wall even more, and maybe later on they can complete the destruction of the fort then, but he can't really stay for too long because McBain is already there and goes straight for the oil spill, trying to get the wave cleared. So as the dust settles, we're seeing 4 kills against 5. We have the blue team with the first objective. And now that the level 10 abilities are in, we of course have to keep our eye on particularly Genji, because he had a huge impact in those fights, as is already. And Hammer had also a lot of space to actually fight from the backline. That was a big problem in the last battle, that Hammer was just completely free to do whatever she wanted, and it worked really well. They focused a lot of the attention onto the front line, and also got a couple of kills on them, don't get me wrong. But if Hammer is just doing all the damage the entire time, that's a bit of an issue. Already, the gank at the bot lane. McBain trying to get away from this, and the polymorph comes in. Bunker is being used, buys himself a little bit more time for the cooldown. Jet propulsion away, but the ult is getting set into motion from Hammer. And with the BFG, the kill is secured. 2 cooldowns used, 2 big ones to get the kill. But Tyrael is now already at the bot lane, soaking the experience here with a very heavy commitment of resources. 4 heroes rotating down for that particular one. Blaze is going to be back in a moment. He, of course, also burning his own cooldown, but not quite able to get back. Wasn't ready to dodge out onto the BFG. Good point by Hammer. But now, of course, as we have at the top, the camp going to be respawning in like 2 minutes. We have still camps on the sides. There's another 1 minute on the turret here. Another 1 minute and 30 over here. So both of the teams just gearing up for the next objective. And we are having already 1 additional biotic emitter taken by the red team. So they have already a superior position for the top objective once that spawns. And keep in mind, they still hold on to that fountain as well. That wasn't taken down earlier. Like, that's normally one of the objectives that you have if you get the first Protector. You want to go up to the top lane. You want to take the fountain down, ideally the 4-2, so that the second objective is easier for you. You will be able to move back and tap at the fountain, but your opponent won't be able to pull that off. That's the thought process behind it. Phil is going a little bit deep for this one, but he still has Eldruins in place, so he can always hop out from this one. We're having 20 seconds for the next objective, and both teams are on level 13. Both teams on level 13, and that gives us, for now, for Reyna, also an adjustment with the debilitating rounds, trying to get the cooldown reduction here. And at the same time, we're having the Sword of Justice. So trying to teleport a bit more often and be a little bit more nimble on the battlefield. But with that, we're seeing the blue team taking position again. Hammer moving in for it now too, trying to make sure that she's in a decent position for all of this. And Brightwing with the Emerald Wind can of course still peel a little bit if there's ever an engage that's going to happen. But for now, the question is who engages first here. Genji is already poking against Li Ming. Counter damage is there right away with a quick Calamity attempt. But Phil is taking the damage on Tyrael, and that's really one of those big problems that you can potentially have. Big engage also coming in from Anubarak, but Blaze with a counter stun right away. Garrosh trying to save them, and they are going in deep. The X-Strike not hitting a whole lot. Deflect being used. Sanctification on the ground to save Tyrael for now. The Cocoon gets burned away by the Disintegrate, as we have again the stuns coming through against Crowin. Still the cleanse attempt, but he actually gets away. Garrosh moves away from this is able to move out, but of course they have to tap at the fountain, which is exactly what they did, and the red team takes control over the objective. Another big hit also hitting Sergeant Hammer right now, but the advantage for the time being going over to the Southgate boys. Again, Genji looking for the damage, looking for the swift strike, going in, going deep. Tyrael on the other hand gets wrecked, polymorph too much, and a 4-man hit by the explosion. So much damage, but no kills. They're trying to get more damage in, but they have to move back onto the point. There was no fountain anymore for a lot of these guys, and just look at that engage again from Blaze as he moves in, and the kill finally against Genji. The flip behind the wall though, and that's another kill secured. Li Ming falls, the counter kill is there, and they are still holding on for to the point for the time being, but Tyrael is going to be back soon. Reyna just trying to stay outside the range of the Nuburak and Garrosh, but he's getting a lot of damage in here with those continuous auto attacks the entire time. Tyrael's on the way back, and we still have Bunker ready, and Sanctification is going to be back up in another 10 seconds with Li Ming and Genji reappearing on the map. That's going to be another big one. The Nuburak already getting stunned out. Flip on Blaze, activates his trade right away. Bunker's on the ground. Here's the healing beacon immediately being used. Once more, Garrosh with a flip on an Nuburak, trying to bring him back to safety, but they're just moving back into the range of the healing beacon. A 4 versus 4 for now. Genji nearly there. Sanctification still ready, and Li Ming is also arriving back on the battlefield. 15 versus 15, and a really close battle here. Another stun attempt against Genji in the backline. X-Strike, but Garrosh falls, and Genji has to move out. BFG being used, doing a lot of work, but not enough, and they are holding on to it. 5 points of 5 heroes against 4. Another quick stun happening. The jet propulsions of McBain have been absolutely on point all game long, and last game as well. They're starting to control the point once more, and now with Garrosh down for another 20 seconds, this should be a protector in their favor. They're holding on to it, and the blue team realizes they might have to let this one go. Jet propulsion, not good enough here, but Genji cannot get the kill, and here comes the protector. They're moving to the top. They're trying to get another kill. Brightwing is low, but doesn't quite fall as they're moving through the wall here. Garrosh just now respawning, and 16, of course, another big talent that they nearly have. More shots fired, 1 turret down, second one about to fall, 16 nearly there, and they're getting it. The extra talent for the red team for just a few seconds, but not long enough to really make a big difference there. They're moving down to the bot lane. They're trying to prepare it for the next objective, crossing the entire map in order to do so. Tyrael by now has the Heraldric Reforging, cooldown reduction over getting Holy Ground here on any of the talents. Mirror Ball for Li Ming, full Swift Strike build for Genji, and of course now the Giant Killer for Sergeant Hammer, big one, with also the Epicenter on an Nuburak, easier for him to get the stuns through, but the bot lane, Fountain, has been eliminated. They're going for Garrosh. Garrosh is low, gets stunned and dies again. Another kill for Southgate. 7 kills against 8, and this game is starting to flip. Dominated early on by Space Fungi, and now Southgate starting to take the kills. Sun takes the lead. Bit of a weird Sanctification, to be absolutely honest with you, that we're seeing from Phil here. I'm not quite sure what he expected I would do, but he uses it regardless. Big cooldown burned from him, but they're moving away now as the Protector is about to fall. Still able to move through the entire wall here. Great fights and hits by them. Quick look at the numbers here. So far, 39,000 damage on Li Ming against the 53k that we're seeing from Sergeant Hammer. Getting more camps, and talking about more camps, this is actually something I would really like the red team to do, since they still had the advantage as Garrosh was down, but they didn't rotate over to the biotic emitter spot fast enough, so instead they went for their own turret spot first, and now they might have 5 versus 5 fight on their hands in this case. Starting to move in for that, and let's see how that's gonna work out here. So, another quick hit being used. Crowwind. Alright, throwing the minions around. Punishing them hard for that. And here comes maybe the attempt for the camp. I mean, they're shocking around it, right? But they're not really committing anything. Hammer is trying to get into a position for that too, but doesn't get that so far. Alright, and we're still seeing them trying to see if they can maybe set something up here. But again, the cooldown is on 15 seconds for the ult on Tyrael, so his Sanctification is not gonna be up for that amount of time. Should try and avoid some fights. Good check by Crowwind. Face check a couple of bushes in the last game, doesn't do this time. And we're having them pushing the wave again into the fort here. But yeah, everyone is just sharking around the biotic emitter. It's just a question, hey, if we can't get it, at least make sure that our opponent doesn't get it either. So we'll see how that works for them. I mean, both of them are roughly at 18, still a bit of a lead for Southgate. But they have done really well in those fights so far. 16 talent, by the way. We'd had a bit of a different choice for Reyna earlier, but now we have Paint them red again. I'm really liking most of the builds that we're seeing from Southgate. Not all of them. Again, not going for the holy ground here. I think it would have been a great talent for them on 13 for Tyrael. Sanctifications are really weird by him, but just in general, I like what they're trying to do with terms with the meta that they're using here. They get the emitter, they go for the fight, biotic emitter might have to be used, and here comes the flip against Tyrael. That's when you want to use Sanctification. Doesn't have it here. In the back line, Genji trying to get the kill against Li Ming. Tyrael still alive for now, needs to jump away from this stone. They might even get another kill. They already took down Garrosh. They're nearly getting a Nubarak, but they take Brightwing instead. 2 kills set up already. Great play here again by Southgate. But yeah, Phil definitely needs to work a little bit on those sanctifications. You don't want to really use it when you're not in any danger whatsoever. I get what the thought process was. He wanted to use it here so the rest of the team can go and grab the biotic emitter, but there was no real reason to use the sanctification. You can just zone and block without it and then keep it if you're actually getting attacked. Obviously, you need to be a little bit careful that you don't get insta-blown up through a stun combo. But there was never really any danger in that particular instance. Be it as it may, they have nearly level 20 now. They have an abundance of items. They have 2 turrets already. They have the biotic emitter. And they're even thinking with level 20 talents now of stealing the turret of their opponent away. So they're really, really setting themselves up here for quick kills. So at this point, starting to move in, get another turret, Phil zoning, jumping out, and now they have massive items, they have storm talents, they have a stats advantage. This should by all means be another protector for Southgate. I would be shocked if somehow the blue team is able to turn this here. Now they had a couple of crazy fights happening in the last game, but this would be quite extraordinary if they would be able to pull this off. For now, they're just trying to soak the lanes. Brightwing has the global, so she's up at the top, trying to get the experience here. They want to have 20, and I think they're probably going to be willing to defend with 20 rather than fight with 16 versus 20 talents. But they're still in the area here for now. Still in the area. I'm not quite sure what exactly Reyna is doing. Like, if anyone moves into the middle, I would rather have it be Blaze, to be honest with you. But Jimmy is now going all the way up to the top, apparently. Okay, they're soaking the experience here. They still keep Blaze at the bottom. 20 talents already, 80%. And it seems like the blue team is actually thinking about making a move nonetheless. They're going in for it. They don't have 20 yet. This is the moment when you really want to fight, and the red team is going to be ready for it. They have the superior numbers in terms of turrets. 1 turret already being used. Genji in the back line, trying to go for Li Ming here. Conveyor belt, making things a little bit difficult, but the kill against Genji. Great hit from Jimmy. Gets the hit in, bam, lasering, immediately a Nubarak to the ground. He got a Nubarak there. The exterminators are in play, and once again, Garrosh takes a lot of damage, and it's the laser Li Ming show. Lasers everywhere, pew pew as she goes for another kill. Brightwing derps around with an Emerald Wind, a little bit late. Can't save anyone here, story of her life. 3 kills for Southgate, 12 against 8, and the Protector on the way. 50 seconds nearly until we have Garrosh back to business with this, as they are starting to move in. That is definitely a goner, that keep, and it looks like it might even be game, as we have Southgate moving in. 12 kills against 8. They are going straight for it here. The 20 talents with the Holy Arena still active, not even a cooldown on that. Tyrael Explosion alone takes 5% off that core quite easily, and we are looking at a 2-0 victory in this series for the Southgate boys. The Holy Arena comes through, and that is game, as Southgate takes the 2-0 and claims victory on Volskaya.